Hello everybody, it's the weekend, so it's a couple of days since that last video that I posted, which I'm really glad that I posted it because of all the nice comments and private messages and emails that you guys sent, which really gives me the energy to keep on chugging along. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings and things going on, but I wanted to talk specifically about yesterday, which was Friday, and what happened then, because obviously I was feeling really bad when I posted that video, and then I take medication to calm myself down, and that has, I would say, been a lifesaver in a way, because it's just so difficult feeling sad and not energized for life all the time, and then on top of that to have this like negative energy build up inside me, and then starting to cry and just the suicidal thoughts come in, and to have that on top of already not enjoying life, then that makes it incredibly difficult to justify continuing on, and that's really sad to say, but people talk about that there are dark points in your life to make the light points more obvious, and I do believe in that. But when every day is a dark day, and then some days are pitch black, that isn't what is meant to be in life. So that medication that I take, I needed to refill the prescription on Friday, and I was at work for a conference for the whole day, and I was doing some drawings and filling out the tasks that I'd been given, and just chugging along, not enjoying it, but also just trying to keep my head down and not think too much. And then as the afternoon came along, I pulled out my phone to get my prescription filled, because in Sweden you can do these things online, like all of the pharmacies, they have websites where you can log on, and they have all of your information, so you order it. And so I was gonna do that, and then I realized that medication, it isn't available, like it's in short supply, so you can't get a hold of it. And that really worried me, because I would find it very difficult to feel safe at home by myself for 2 or 3 days without something that would bring me back from, the ledge. And obviously, if I lived with someone else, then maybe I wouldn't need the medication, but living by myself is, I think, one of the reasons why the doctors recommend that I take this. So anyway, when I've been to other doctor's appointments, they have given me phone numbers to ring if I'm ever in need of talking to someone, or I need help, or anything to do with my recovery. So I called one of these numbers, and they said that I rung the wrong place, and then they gave me another number to ring, and I called that place, and they were like, well, there must be somebody who has that medication. And I was like, I've logged on to 4 or 5 websites, 4 or 5 different um, um, pharmacies that I know of, and none of them had it. So I mean, and so they said that, well, they don't have a doctor available, so that I would have to ring my doctor. But the thing was is that I had talked to a nurse on Monday, and she had told me that my doctor was sick. So I figured that he was probably still sick, so that's why I hadn't rung there. So anyway, I mean, so that phone call ended. That was a dead end, no help from them. So then I called my doctor, even though I knew that it, like, that they would just turn me away because they had done that before. So I called them, and they told me that if I want to talk to a doctor, I have to call between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock during the weekday. 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning to get a time to talk to a doctor. And this was Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, no, it was 2:30 in the afternoon. So that was a dead end. And, these people, they didn't, offer any other help or anything. Like, and then with that last call, they didn't even send me, like, they didn't give me any suggestions on what to do next, because I wasn't prepared to go home, because I just have been suicidal, and like, I just wouldn't feel safe by myself at home for a whole weekend. And so at that point, the third phone call, and I get upset just thinking about it, because it really felt like that, they gave me these numbers to call if I need help, and then when you call them and they're like, well, sorry, we can't help you. And they always sound really irritated, like that I should know that I called to the wrong place and whatever. And it just made me feel really awful. So I started crying. And then my boss came out, and he didn't see that I was crying. And then he asked me something, and I turned around, and then he saw that I was crying. So he asked what was wrong, and I explained the whole situation, that I called 3 different places and nobody could help me. So then he was like, like, what are we gonna do? And that's when I thought, that I have to go in person, and I need to go to the emergency psychiatric place, because there is no way that I am going to sleep with by myself, without any medication that would help. So either I'm going to hang out there all weekend, or they're going, like, whatever, like, but I need help, because I just feel so awful, and the antidepressants haven't started working yet. So like, I need more help at this time. So then he asked if we needed to ring there first, and I said, yeah, like, that might be a good idea. So he called them, and just said that I was coming. And then he ordered a taxi, and then two of my coworkers, they came along. So then, yeah, we went in, and they they take your blood pressure and everything and just ask about how everything's going. And like she took my temperature and she said that it was pretty high, and she asked if that's normal. And I think, that when I get upset and I'm crying a lot, then I do get like a little bit higher temperature. So I think that was just that. And then eventually I got to see a doctor, and he asked about, like my suicidal thoughts, and asking about like if I had a set plan, because if you have like a set plan, then they will want you to stay in the hospital, because you're like a higher risk to go through with it. Like if I had a place in mind, and everything like that, then if I have one of these attacks, then it'd be really easy to just go and do it. So we talked, and then he gave me 8 pills for the weekend. I said that I would only need like 6, but he gave me 8 anyway. And then yeah, and then we, I guess, talked about like what I'm gonna do after this, and he said, call them at 8 o'clock on Monday, and ask to get a new time to talk about the medications, because if that medication isn't available, then I would need something else, or I would need like some other plan, because the plan now is take the pills when you need them. And if that plan can't be, and then if that doesn't work, call for help, right? And if that plan isn't able to be completed, then there has to be a different plan, right? So then I was sent on my way, and I just felt like so thankful that St. Euron's exist, because I don't even know where I would be if it wasn't for them, because now they have helped me. I think this is the 4th time. They've helped me so much, and they are there for me. And as I was leaving, the doctor, he said, you can come back at any time. And that really meant a lot to me, because it's not just words, they also prove it. Like you show up and they're there, and there might be a lot of people waiting in line, but you sit down and there's a nurse at the reception, and you can just sit there, and they'll eventually see you, and they'll listen to what you have to say. And if you don't have the medications you need, then they'll give you the medication you need. And they are so true to their word. They are there, and that is a lot more than I can say for all of these other numbers that I called. And it really scared me when I called these numbers and they couldn't help me, because it really felt like that plan, you do like a crisis plan, and in that crisis plan was all of these numbers, and it really felt like a total disaster, and like I couldn't rely on that crisis plan anymore. And that's exactly what I didn't need for the weekend. So I'm going to call the doctors on Monday and see if I can get a time to talk to the doctor. And honestly, I don't know if they'll give me a time, because I've called them before at the beginning of the summertime and they didn't have a doctor for me to see, so I had to go somewhere else. And they have just been quite short staffed, as I understand. And I completely understand that, and I don't blame them for that. I just think that if there is short staff, that they can point you to the right direction, and that also they shouldn't be on my crisis plan if they're short staffed, because that's not their fault that they're short staffed, but it really affects me, and it'll affect other people if they're calling these numbers at their time of need and they're not there. Then because like I'll be honest, when I called these three numbers and they couldn't help me, my mind was like, this is a sign that it's time to go, because the world's like telling you that you don't get help, right? And that's the type of thinking that happens when you're in this depression, right? And like that's not their fault, and I know that that's not what they're saying, but that's the kind of danger that I think happens when specifically talking about mental illness management. So yeah, that was a really long story, but I wanted to talk about it because I really didn't expect it. I thought I was going to pick up my medication and during the weekend I would just try and stay calm and just chill out, play video games, not get into any sort of trouble or anything like that, and then that didn't work out. So yeah, that's it for me today, everybody. Thank you all for being really kind and understanding, and hopefully I will see you guys a little bit more next week. I'll keep you guys updated, that's for sure. Hey door.